All right. Well, I guess I'm live on YouTube, like the official YouTube channel. Didn't have to go through anything else to get on YouTube live. As you all see, I have my hair colored red, black, and white for the Carolina Hurricanes colors, and just on here enjoying this thing. You guys give me some likes when you come in. You know, maybe this thing will hit an algorithm and we can get some comments and stuff going. Um, Carolina Hurricanes did acquire a goalie during this free agency so far. They Sealy asked for arbitration, I think either yesterday late or today, earlier today. But he will be going, he has requested arbitration, so no offer sheets can be made to him. Also, uh, it Josh Brinson and myself, he seems to think that the goalie we acquired will be going to the AHL since they don't have any goalies per se. They're only going to be left with like one goalie. So, um, so that's and the more I think about it, the more that makes sense. We've got two goalies; they got two. Um, we need to acquire them another goalie, but just to have a goalie in transition where they can come to and from the Carolina Hurricanes back to the Chicago Wolves or vice versa, or whatever. But yeah, that's that. Also, um, Carolina Hurricanes are still trying to fish out um, Kokanyemi. Kokanyemi has played very limited time on ice this season, just due to the lack of performance. Also, he has been relatively not there. Caleb Girl, hey, how you doing? If you don't mind, if go hit that subscribe button for us and help us grow this channel, I would really appreciate it. And also hit the likes there. Give us a like if you like what the content is. I liked and subscribe. Oh, thank you. Then that's awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you for that. Um, Caleb, that's it. I'm having a hard time seeing the screen there, Caleb. So sorry. Um, it's my contacts is only like for distance, not close up. So I'm kind of having a hard time seeing the screen. But yeah, Carolina Hurricanes. Can you say now? Can you can now? Let's see. Oh, now over to Jordan's page for an edit. Yeah, yeah, right. Um, but so yeah, Kokanyemi's been fished out, and he is. They're trying to fish him a little bit to see what they can get. The teams that are interested in him. Um, this message is held under review. Okay, what was the message? Yeah, we're not going to do that here. Let's see here. Yeah, we're not doing that, dude. That's uncalled for. Matter of fact, let's see. Yep, there you go. Enchanted Curtis. Um, we're not doing that on here, dude. So you're done, dude. You're done. That's uncalled for crap, man. That's very uncalled for. This isn't that kind of channel. If you come in here with that, we will bounce you. I promise you. You will be bounced like before you know it. That I can promise you. That's that's not Yeah, I'm reporting you to. I'm just gonna go ahead and report you, dude. Maybe you'll get kicked off the platform. Maybe you'll get kicked off of YouTube. He made a racial comment there, and it got reported to me since I am the moderator and all that junk. And yeah, I reported him to YouTube. I hope he gets bounced. I really do. That's uncalled for. We're here to talk hockey. We're not here to talk race. We're not here to talk politics. We're not here to talk religion or anything like that. It's straight up hockey and Carolina Hurricanes hockey. In case you didn't know by the name of the Facebook channel, but there's no place for that crap there. Racial stuff. That's uncalled for, man. Very uncalled for. But yeah, Spike, yeah, Jordan Spaeth. But yeah, so Kotkaniemi's been fished out a little bit there, and he's had some interest from some teams, and Carolina. The reason why Carolina, and I've come to learn this over the past, since they started fishing him out. The other teams, Eric Tulsky's made it very clear that he wants a player in return for whoever we trade that can help us out now. And the bigger the player, obviously, like Nikishin, the more return he's going to want on that player. With that said, let's see. Yeah, I timed him out. Okay, yeah, it's Mr. Kaniak. What's going on? So Caleb, Mr. Kaniak. So Caleb, Kokaniemi's been fished out. Eric Tulsky's already said that he's not going to go after a deal that involves draft picks and a prospect. He wants somebody that's going to help us out now. And so my assumptions are that he is a clown, kinda. But my whole point is this: the Hurricanes haven't made a move with Kokaniemi simply because the Hurricanes, the teams that are interested in Kokaniemi, are not going to exactly so the Hurricanes aren't going to do anything unless they can get somebody that's going to help them this coming season, point blank. Can you blame them? No. But as a team that's looking at Kokaniemi, let's face it, you're right, Mr. Kane. You're right, Mr. Kaniak. He is a clown. And this is the thing. And I'm talking about KK, not Eric Tulsky. Kokaniemi is a clown. You got that right. He hasn't done anything in the past season and a half, to be honest with you. He has done zero. That's why this season they benched him. They had him on the third line, put him on the fourth line, and then they benched him. He played maybe not even 20 games this year. So that tells you a lot right there. And so then the other teams are looking at Kokaniemi and they're looking at Tulsky, and Tulsky's saying, well, we want a player for a player, and we want in return, this is what we want. And the other team, we want a player in return, and that's what we want. That's going to help us today. So what does the other teams look at? They look at, well, look, you benched him all season long. He's not doing anything for you. He's a burden to you. If we get him, who knows what he's going to do for us? But we want to give him a try, so we'll give you 2 draft picks and a prospect. Personally, I see both sides of the fence. I see where Eric Tulsky's coming from. I truly do. But I also see where the other teams that want Kokaniemi are coming from. The other teams that want Kokaniemi, they're like, well, he's not really worth it. And I get that. And I see why they're offering a draft pick and a prospect, or 2 draft picks and a prospect. I totally get it. I understand it. I see their side of the argument. Trust me, I do. I think that the other team's offerings, quite honestly, are, he wanted a lot and don't do anything. Yeah, exactly. And so, well, something else popped up on the screen. So I thought that was you, Mr. Kaniak, that had made a comment in that. But so so I totally get where the other teams are. They don't want to offer up a lot in getting in return what they're getting, and I get that. But then again, I understand where Tulsky's coming from and saying, well, hey, this is what I want, and this is what we're going to get. This is what I want in return for what we're giving you. We're giving you a player that could help you out now. We want a player in return that could help us out now. So I see where the even trade is there, but I also see where the even trade is in the other. And where they're saying that a draft pick or 2 draft picks and a prospect is an equal trade for Kotkaniemi. I totally get it. I see it. I see where they're coming from with that. So also, what I also believe with now shifting gears, let's go to Nikishin. Nikishin is a rookie, a very good rookie at that. He started off playing pretty decent time, and then they backed him off a little bit. Don't know why. Don't get into that. But I don't want to race his. I don't want to give my suspicions because I don't know. I don't know what the deal was, but they backed him off for some minutes, and they moved him down to, I think, the third or fourth line. Didn't play him that much, but when he was on ice, he made a difference. He made a huge difference. Nikishin, that is. And now, at the end of the season, after the playoffs, and they started negotiating contracts with him, they kind of put it off on the back burner. And now Nikishin's asking $8 million times 8 years. Is that too much to pay Nikishin? Even though he's a rookie, this past season he was a rookie, and going into this coming season he's going to be the sophomore player. I don't know. I think, I see where his potential is. Okay, I see where his potential is. I see where he could be an $8 million a year player. I really do. And let's face it, he's a rookie. He's only going to get better. And the way he plays, he's only going to get better. Do I think that he could be another Slavin or another workhorse like Chatfield? Yeah. I think that, I think he could earn that $8 million a year if they were to give it to him. I really do. So with Nikishin, and I get where the Hurricanes are coming from. I get where Tulsky's coming from. Well, you want $8 million a year, we really don't know what you're going to do in the next 2 or 3 years. So let's make a bridge. Let's pay you $4 million. Let's pay you $3 million a year, $4 million a year for 2 years. See how you do in that 2 years. Then if you prove yourself in that 2 years, then we'll give you the $8 million a year. I totally see that. But on the flip side, I also see where Nikishin's agent is coming from, saying, well, he did this for you this season. He's only going to get better. So I think it's fair that you pay the $8 million a year times 8 years in a contract. Then he's only going to get better. You've got him locked in. He's not going anywhere for 8 years. So I kind of get that. I kind of get where they're coming from. I kind of get where his agent's coming from with all of this. So, where do we go? What direction does the Hurricanes take? Because, they've offered it. I think they've written offer sheets to him they've negotiated with him. So I'm assuming they're under, that, but I guess they, with Sealy making an offer sheet, I could see Nikishin making an offer sheet or making an arbitration request. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Arbitration request and go to arbitration with it. I could see that. I could see, then again, I don't see the Hurricanes, and they've been fishing him out. There has been some interest in Nikishin around the league, not with just 2 or 3 teams, but with a lot, like 6 or 7 teams. And I can see where the interest is there. Could they make a deal with him? And could they make a deal with him with another team and trade him off? Again, I think they could, but I think the price that Carolina's asking in return could be a little bit more than what the other teams want to pay. Meaning, well, you want a superstar or a really good player, not quite superstar, but a really good player for somebody that's a rookie that's asking 8 times 8. But the team that's gonna trade for him, they're obviously gonna make the deal with him 8 times 8. So they need to give up what we're asking. Plain and simple. Kotkaniemi, that's kind of a different story, but with Nikishin, that's a totally understandable story. Give up a good player, or we're not doing business with you. We can keep him till the end of the season. And that's the thing. The Hurricanes can keep Nikishin to the end of the season with no problem, no issue at all. And that's where that is, and that's how that plays out. Now, what will they do? I mean, they could get rid of, if they don't get rid of him now, they could get rid of him by mid-season or even toward the end of the season next season. So, mid-season, I would say if, Tulsky he's been fishing, he's been filling around what these other teams may or may not do. And, if a team goes back on their word, they just go back on their word. What can you do about it, really, But do I think that the Carolina Hurricanes are in a good position to repeat right now? I think you look at all the other teams over the past couple of weeks have gotten better. Since the trade deadline opened, Saturday for the unrestricted free agents. The restricted free agents, there's teams that's gotten better from that. And then the unrestricted free agency open, and there's teams that's really gotten better. And Carolina's still sitting with the same players they had. And so it goes to question, are other teams, and I kind of saw this with the Florida Panthers, and me and Josh talked back and forth. And for those of you who are not in the group on Facebook, it's the same name, Carolina Hurricanes Fans Only. Go there and subscribe, or go there and join the group. And Josh and I, we occasionally get on and do lives. We used to do them a lot more, but with things the way they are, we kind of backed off from that just because the viewership isn't there. But we will probably do them about once a week coming up, maybe once every other week coming up. So, gives us a little bit of time to get some stuff together. But so yeah, that's one thing. But I think that the other teams, and I saw this with Florida too, in the past couple of seasons, they wanted to get better. They got some players that did help them, but I don't think the players that they got helped them out as much as they were wanting them to. And, so we'll see on that. The verdict's still out on that. They've had a couple of seasons, they've had one season where, they made some trades, with free agency and restricted free agency. They got a little better. And then they got this past season, they got a little better. They got Marchand in and stuff like that, players like that. They got a couple of new players in. They made an impact, yeah, but they didn't make that big of an impact. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs, so but they made some kind of an impact on the team. And the Carolina Hurricanes, favorite childhood. Well, this isn't pertaining to hockey, so I'm not going to do that. But the Carolina Hurricanes, I feel like the league, the teams in the league didn't do that much favors for the Florida Panthers over the last couple of seasons when they won the Stanley Cup. So I think that, with that being said, I think we're going to see the same thing happen with the Carolina Hurricanes this year. I meant the Florida Panthers, if I said Carolina Hurricane, last couple of seasons. But this season, I think that the Carolina Hurricanes will be the team to watch out for. D Birdies, I didn't even see you come in, man. If you came in, I didn't see you come in if you did. And I'm sorry for that if I didn't mention you. But the Carolina Hurricanes, I think you're seeing that with the Carolina Hurricanes. Teams are making them offers for players and not wanting to return. They don't want to give the return back to the Carolina Hurricanes. That's really going to help them. And I think that's where they're at. And you're seeing the other teams get better, and the Carolina Hurricanes are kind of staying where they're at, which, hey, let's face it, it worked this season. It could work again, and I haven't really seen, and I'm sure when the season cranks up next season, we're going to hear it. Well, we didn't think that the system that the Carolina Hurricanes play under Rod Brind'Amour would work, but maybe that was just a fluke. We'll have to see this season. And they proved they didn't just prove that they could get over the hump and get in the Stanley Cup Finals. They won the Stanley Cup Finals with 2 sweeps back to back, a gentleman's sweep, and the best and won 4 of 6 games. So a gentleman's sweep, in case you guys may or may not know, a lot of you know probably, but a gentleman's sweep is when one team, the opposing team wins the first game, and then the Carolina Hurricanes, in this case, wins the next 4. That's a gentleman's sweep. Meaning, we let you win the first game, but we took the next 4. So that's a gentleman's sweep. So I think, with that said, like I said, they swept 2 teams. They swept the Montreal Canadiens. They swept the Philadelphia Flyers. And then let's see, was it Montreal? No, it was Ottawa. They swept Ottawa. They swept Philadelphia. Gentlemen swept Montreal. And then went to best of 6. They went 6 games with the blank. Crap. I do that every now and again. I forget. But anyway, Vegas Golden Knights. Good grief. They went the best. They went 4 of 6 with the Golden Knights and won. So there's not much that media can say. Well, it was a shortened season. It was this. It was that. Blah 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 blah. They had the easy route, which is bull crap. That's the excuse that we heard there for a while was, well, they had the easier route than any other team. Not really. They got beat up and banged up. Those first 2 teams, Senators and Flyers, those are probably the 2 most physical teams that they played in the playoffs. So you can't say that they took an easy route there. So, but I think that this coming season, I think it's going to be difficult for the Carolina Hurricanes to repeat. Is there the possibility they could? Of course, there's always the possibility they could. My prediction came true this past season before the season started. I interviewed assistant coach Jeff Daniels, and I predicted then before the season started. I predicted it before I interviewed him that the Carolina Hurricanes were going to be in the Stanley Cup Finals, that they would get over that hump. And that come true. Not only did it come true, but my wife also predicted before the season started they were going to win the Stanley Cup. And she's Brazilian, and she predicted that. So, I mean, you look at their record, second best record in the NHL, doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to win, even with the best record in the NHL. Obviously, Avalanche didn't. So, yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. We're in a state where we're not really going to lose any players. We didn't gain any, but maybe one. But we didn't lose any other than Freddie Anderson, who's going to the Oilers. But and now, Freddie really hasn't played that well for us up until this season. He's had maybe 2 seasons, I think actually 3, his rookie year, and then like 1 or 2 after that, where he wasn't injured or sick. And then this season, where he wasn't injured or sick. I think he did get injured. And it just was revealed not too long ago that the last game that he played in, he had a concussion. And that's why he didn't finish the rest of the playoffs out. Was he had a concussion, and that's why. But yeah, and that was revealed. I can't remember who revealed that in a podcast, and they were talking about it. And I think it was actually Spittin' Chicklets, and they were interviewing, I want to say Tripp Tracy, but that doesn't sound right. But they were interviewing somebody, or they were talking with somebody. I can't remember if it was Tripp Tracy or somebody else, and it may have been somebody else. But they were talking about that, and they were talking about how Freddie, it wasn't revealed until then that Freddie had gotten a concussion, and it wasn't due to Claude Lemieux. Sorry, Claude Lemieux. Doing the unthinkable. And which that I'm sure had a heavy load on his mind as well. So, that, things like that tend to have a heavy load on your mind when you're doing something, those thoughts creep into your head. So, yeah, I get it. And, so yeah, there's that. But outside of that, I think we're going to be okay with the goalie situation. Kochetkov will be back next season playing. Brandon Bussey will be in net playing. Now, who gets that lead start? I think that's going to be figured out in preseason, to be quite honest with you. After we see the rookie goalies play, I think we'll see maybe like the last game or so where they either will take, like the last 2 games, they'll take a game each, or they may even split time. So we'll see on that. I don't know how they're going to do that. Or we may see them play a few games early in the season, and they determine who gets that live there, or who gets the first seat, the lead seat. But yeah, I think that our netting situation is going to be good. I think defensively we're pretty sound. I would just like to see the Hurricanes get another 25 or 30 plus point player, or at least another 30 plus goal player. At least 30, 25 to 30 goals season player. I'd love to see them get that, but who knows? Who knows what they're going to do? Who knows if they're going to be able to land one this season? I don't know. Maybe by mid-season, depending on how they're doing. I don't know. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I'd love to have Josh on and bring him on here and see, and us discuss this and see if we could do that. And see if we could do that and possibly have him have him on here and me and him discuss that. But let's see what. Oh wow. Okay. I'm just testing stuff on here. Sorry about that. Let's see what that is. Oh, that's a green screen. Huh. Nice. Yeah, there's they won today. My wife hated they were playing Brazil. But let's see, what else can I put on here? Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah. That I did right there. Yeah, I did this past actually July 4th. I did that. I actually spray painted this on my lawn. Yeah, I actually did that on my lawn. Let's see here. Let me see. Yeah. I know I'm just on here doing crazy stuff. But oh yeah, let's see here. Oh yeah, did y'all see this couple? We're gonna do that one. There we go. Yeah, that's what they were actually putting up there. We'll do this one. I like this one. So yeah, I like this one. So anyway, Carolina has been doing good, and I think that they have a very good opportunity of. I think they have a very good opportunity this season, possibly even repeating. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I feel like that. I feel like that they could at least get back to the Stanley Cup Finals next season, but I don't know if they could actually win the Stanley Cup because and that all depends on what they do between now and the the deadline, and then at mid-season, if and you got to look at this as well. Look what they did with Jackson Blake. Brought him in, he came lights out. Then they brought in Jankowski, Stankoven, and Taylor Hall, and they've all played well. So who's they get another player that was under the radar, and because they always do, they wait till the last hour and boom, they get that player, and it's worked. And I think that that's that was weird. I, but I think that if you see it, you're going to see Carolina come up, and they're going to do a big move. They're going to do something that is going to be they're going to do something that's going to be big, and it may seem like it's not a big deal. It's not going to seem like it's going to be a big player that's come in, and but it's going to be a player that makes a difference. And I think that they, if they get that player like another Stankoven or another Jackson Blake, there's a good possibility that they could go back to the finals and win it and win the cup again. But I do feel like they could make the Stanley Cup Finals again this coming season. Yes, I do. I honestly, I believe that. Could they win it? I don't know. We'll see. It's just one of those things. We'll have to wait and see, right? And it's one of those things that you have to, you really have to, put your faith in and say, well, yeah, Tulsky's doing the right thing. and I do believe he is. He's looking out for the team's best interest, and as of course that's what a general manager is supposed to do, right? And Josh and I again, we were talking the other day, and I went up to his house and we were talking, and I said, Eric Tulsky is kind of like Don Waddell, just on steroids. But because he finds those jewels to bring in, and nothing against Don Waddell, he did a great job while he was here, but I think he was searching for in the wrong places for the right players, and I think that's why things didn't quite work for him as they should have. And here's another thing that I was discussing with a few people actually, and that's why do teams not want to come, or why do players not want to, like top tier players like Rantanen, uh, and you can say whatever, Gensel, he would have stayed if Waddell would have offered him what he was asking to begin with, and that's been hashed and rehashed and triple hashed and quadruple hashed quite a bit. And I just feel like it's no need to talk about it anymore. He wanted to stay. They just didn't offer him the money that he was asking for. And then by the time they did, he was gone. He was like, well, I can go to Florida. I can play in Florida, and I can get more money in Florida because they don't have, the tax rate there's, almost non-existent. So he took a little bit less money to go there and play. And he's still making the same because of the tax difference. So, by the time Waddell offered him what he wanted, he was like, I've already got an offer for over here, so I'll go over there. And he went to Tampa. But now Rantanen, on the other hand, top tier player, could have stayed, made a difference. And, I think, and this is just me, and I've seen it with other players. After the player has been here, say they sign, like, for example, Nikishin, they sign him 8 years at $8 million like he's asking for, then I believe and I think that he wouldn't stay. And here's why: because they would ask him to he would ask for more money, and they'd be like, no, this is what we're going to pay you. And, even though you might be worth that amount, this is where we're stuck at. And whereas another team would say, hey, come on over, the water's fine. And they pay him what he's asking. And I think a lot of these top tier players like Rantanen, like Marchand, like, whoever, you name it. That's why they don't want to come here, is because Carolina kind of has a reputation of being a cheapskate. And I mean, cheapskate, well, they don't want to pay players what they're worth. They want to get them on the cheap. And then they want to keep them on the cheap. And for some players, they know their worth. They know what they're worth. They know what their worth is going to be. And they know what their worth is when they get to that level. And you can't argue that, especially when there's another team that's willing to pay that. And so, but, and I think sometimes in a way, Carolina needs to, just tighten their jaw a little bit and bite the bullet sometimes and pay for the player that they want to go after and not skimp out and, and just do it. But then again, you got to look after the cap space because you want enough cap space there in case something happens, and then, all that good stuff. So I get the whole thing, but it would be nice to get a top tier player in here and pay them what they want, or pay them fairly, and they accept that and come here to play. That would be awesome. But, Tulsky knows what he's doing. That's why he's the general manager and I'm not. But yeah. that's it. Yeah, I just wanted to get on. I wanted to share my thoughts on what's happened this off season with the trades, with the trades, not only just trades, but with the whole with the whole thing of with the whole thing of the free agent trades as well. And yeah, I think that I think they've done a pretty good job. Yeah, isn't that beautiful there? They did a good job hanging that up before they come down. That's awesome. But I think that's just where I'm at, and that's where my train of thought is on all of the stuff that we're seeing. Is it frustrating? Yeah, it's frustrating to sit here and say, well, why don't you just do this or do that? And there's reasons behind why they don't do this or they don't do that. And we don't know everything that's going on in the room. And we don't know what the conversations are with the agent, or we don't know what the conversation is between Tulsky and the coaching staff. So yeah, that's what it is. So, but anyway, you guys, y'all have a good one. I am going to get off of here if I can figure this out, and if I can figure out how to get off here, that's the next problem. But anyway, you guys have a good night. We'll see you next time I go live. I'll If you're not in the group, go in the group because I'm going to post it in the group when I go live. There's no way for me to really post it on here when I'm going live, I don't think. But yeah, we'll do that. I will do that, and I will and we'll do that, and I'll post it in the group so more people can join the live here. So anyway, you guys have a good evening, and happy belated 4th of July, even though it's the 5th of July. Tomorrow, I go back to work. My wife is off this coming week. I was off last week. That's just how it worked out. So, anyway, you guys have a great evening. We'll see you next time. And let's go, Canes.